Welcome to Older Militaris Radio TV, and we're lifelong Catholics. And what we do is all for free, and for our love of Jesus Christ, and for our Holy Mother, the Church. And we'll defend our Holy Mother, the Church. Today we come back with our final program on the safe area in Srebrenica, and who was really in control. We are coming from Adam Labor's complicity with evil, the United Nations in the age of modern genocide. It is linked on the show page, folks. Please get your copy, or if you can and you want to, sign up for a free account at internetarchive.org and rent the book and read it online for free. So now we're going to come back to and see how much of Bosnia was under Serb control. By January 1993, more than 60% of Bosnia was under Serb control and ethnically cleansed. In the east, only Srebrenica and three other enclaves, Surska, Zepa, and Gozada, held out, with its commanding position in the Drina Valley and bordering Serbia. Srebrenica was an important prize. The Serb attack was planned down to the smallest detail. Srebrenica had always lacked salt. The J&A research team had analyzed the area's drinking water and predicted several consequences from salt depressurization, including a breakdown of the endocrine organs, as well as the confusion, instability, and aggressiveness, and an inclination towards anarchy and panic, and susceptibility to psychological manipulation. Okay, so now we're going to get into a long section here on how is Srebrenica taken over and what was the city like. Srebrenica was an average Bosnian town, a main street of drab Tito-era municipal buildings flanked by modern square blocks of flats, homes to about 6,000 people, surrounded by forests and rolling green hills. The town had been known even in Roman times for its silver mine. Its name comes from the South Slavic word of silver. This part of eastern Bosnia was a world away from sophisticated Sarajevo or Belgrade. Women kept their heads covered under floral headscarves and wore long, billowy Turkish-style pants. At mealtimes, men were served first, while the women retired to the kitchen. Hamlets survived on subsistence agriculture and were reachable only by dirt tracks. Many among the older generations were illiterate and put their faith in charms and amulets. Srebrenika's commander was a burly weightlifter named Nazar Orlik. Born in 1967 nearby Potokari, Orlik was a policeman and former bodyguard of Slobodan Milosevic. When war broke out in Croatia, Bosnian authorities sent Orlik home to set up a secret local militia and train recruits in guerrilla warfare. Orlik launched a string of hit-and-run operations, ambushing Serb convoys and raiding Serb villages. In the wake of Orlik's fighters came hordes of starving refugees, known as Tobari, bag people, swooping up anything edible or movable. Nor could captured civilians or soldiers expect much mercy. Excuse me, folks, I'm getting swiggy. Mountain Dew. Hmm. nor could capture Serb civilians or soldiers expect much mercy. Srebrenika's stubborn refusal to surrender and ordered raids enraged General Marako Madic, the Bosnian Serb commander. Marako, or Warlike, was born in March 1942 in eastern Bosnia. Short, stocky, and extremely menacing, Mladic cared nothing for the Geneva Convention or the laws of war. He was transferred to Bosnia from Kinin, the capital of the RSK. And there, and in Bosnia, his troops shelled hospitals, civilian homes, and fleeing columns of women and children. Does that sound familiar? Because that is what the Azerbaijani terrorists are doing and did when they started to shell hospitals and homes and the fleeing civilians. In early 1993, General Melodic attacked Surska and surrounding villages fell, and the survivors fled to Srebrenica. Same thing as in Artsakh now. The villagers are going directly to Stepanakert, which is what they did in Bosnia. Now they're going to Srebrenica. The town's population swelled by 10 times. Whole families camped out, sleeping in the snow and burning plastic bottles to try to keep warm. Same thing going on now in Artsakh. Disease and starvation daily claim dozens of victims. This will begin to happen in Artsakh. The streets stank with excrement and filth. People survived on bread made from tree buds and corn cobs. There were fears of an epidemic of typhoid that could spread through Europe in a sense that Bosnia was on the brink of even greater catastrophe. This is what's going to happen in Artsakh. Unless the world government gets off their Masonic high horse and remembers their Christian duty to defend and protect their Christian brothers and sisters. So let's say again, if you're the confessor of these Christian leaders in Slovenia, Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic, Greece, and elsewhere, threaten them with damnation and the refusal of receiving the sacraments and absolution, and also threaten them with excommunication. The French commander of UN Pearl 4, General Philippe Morillon, set off to sea for himself, arriving in Srebrenica on 11th March, surrounded by tens of thousands of desperate refugees. He made a promise to Srebrenica that still echoes darkly through the years. You are now under the protection of the UN forces. General Morillon's bravado caused consternation in the Security Council and anger among senior UN officials. The Security Council chamber echoed to an impassioned debate. NAC demanded drastic action to protect Srebrenica, while the P5 resisted. We thought the only way to prevent a massacre was for major countries to commit their forces. We introduced a resolution on safe areas after tremendous conflict with Britain, France, and Russia. We call it Diego Area. I'm just going to read what I have marked down here. Get the notes and this. I think I sort of missed where I was supposed to not read. Okay. Moscow, the Serbs' traditional ally, skillfully exploited Western fears that the end of the Cold War had triggered a new era of instability. Fears that seemed validated by the Yugoslav wars, In August 1991, Boris Yeltsin had led the resistance to a coup attempt by communist hardliners. But how certain was his grip on power a year and a half later? A failed empire with nuclear weapons and nobody in control was the stuff of nightmares for Western policy planners. Instability in Moscow, war in the former communist country, the prospect of further ethnic conflict across the Balkans and the Caucasus. All these factors militated against a robust policy against the Serbs. Saving Boris Yeltsin was judged more important than saving Bosnia and Srebrenica would pay the price. What would have been the impact in Moscow if the United Nations intervened against the Serbs? Would Yeltsin have been able to get support for intervention? Would he have survived another coup attempt? I think the judgment among the P5 was probably that there was indeed a real risk if Russia was pushed too far. Some have argued for a more robust approach by the UN, and I still believe that more could have been done to protect the safe areas. On 16 April 1993, the Security Council passed Resolution 819. The key sentence was that Srebrenica would be a safe area which would be free from any armed attack or any other hostile act. At first, Diego Araya and Andres Eros did not realize that they had been completely outmaneuvered for a safe area, but something very different from a protected area, which demanded the robust defense as would a haven. The declaration of that Srebrenica should rather than shall be safe was also crucial. After all, everywhere in the world should remain safe. What shall would have implied a duty to ensure that it did. We thought we had achieved a very important, significant accomplishment with this resolution, says Area. But Britain and France were in favor of the safe area because actually safe areas were a totally meaningless concept. Little did we know at the time that this was the case. Playing with words is an art on the Security Council, argued Erdos. It is a school of drafting of things which can be interpreted in various ways. When I understood a statement or resolution unequivocally, I was surprised to learn that others had a quite different interpretation. We discussed the term safe and protected, and an ambassador from a P5 power said, "Safe, yes, but does not mean that we will protect Srebrenica or send armies and troops." When I saw a certain situation said action must be taken on account of our resolutions, others looked at the same text and said they did not see it at all, that they did not see any urgency or obligation by the United Nations to respond. UNPRO-4 brokered a deal under which Srebrenica would be demilitarized, but not occupied by the Serbs. The Bosnian army would surrender its weapons in exchange for a ceasefire and access to relief supplies. Resolution 819 also authorized members of the Security Council to visit Srebrenica and report back the first such council mission of its kind. But what is needed in Artsakh is not a safe area, but a protected area. Protected area where the UN was forced to use arms to protect the citizens of Artsakh against the Azerbaijanis. Safe area means, well, yeah, it's what they got now. Once the diplomats arrived in Srebrenica, they understood why. They were shocked to the core by what they saw. It is one thing when you read about something or see it on your television screen. It is quite another to go there and see the physical realities, recalls Andre Edros. I remember a newsreel that I had seen in 1944 when Allied troops entered Belgium and the Netherlands, and people lining the streets cheering and applauding. They did the same for us in Srebrenica, because they thought we were coming as liberators. But I knew they were deadly mistaken, and the most we could do was publicize their situation so that the world might listen more carefully. When the convoy was delayed by the Bosnian Serbs and Diego Area argued for the right to pass, the gunner on a Serb vehicle pointed his weapon directly at Area's car. The mission passed the Norwegian aid convoy, which was stopped by the side of the road by a single Serb soldier. Once inside Srebrenica, UN Pro 4 officers tried to keep to a tightly controlled itinerary. UN Pro 4 had its own agenda, total cooperation with Bosnian Serbs. Area refused. I told them I wanted to go to the school where a Serb bomb killed 14 children. They said there was not much time left. I insisted, and we went there. There were nothing. There were mothers of the children, and there were still the remains of bodies of the children on the ground. As the day wore on, it became clear who was in charge at Srebrenica. The United Nations' first safe area in Bosnia, the Serbs. That's when we understood perfectly well that there were two United Nations, says Arian. One in New York, and one on the ground, which was not really the United Nations operation. It was British and French. The commanders on the ground were following the directions of their governments, not the UN Security Council, which was theoretically the conductor of the operation. It was very shocking. The mission's report to the Security Council described conditions inside Srebrenica as a slow motion genocide. Much worse was to come. So I hope all my Armenian friends are watching these programs on the UN and learning something. Because what you're asking, you do not want to happen. It's time for the wool to be pulled off your eyes so you can see the truth of what the United Nations is really about. It will do what they did to Bosnia, Darfur, Rwanda, and elsewhere to Artsakh. This is Order Military Radio TV signing off. Day is full.